All right, welcome everyone. So, tonight we're going to have a little look at our solar plexus chakra, which is kind of just focusing on our core really. So we're going to be trying to engage our core a bit and stretch our core a little bit as well, and maybe bringing some of your awareness to your center in other ways as well if you want to, but that's entirely up to you. So we'll start on our backs, and as always, please do look after yourself in the session. So if you notice any pain just coming out of the pose, and yeah, have fun. So we'll bring the soles of our feet together and just let our knees fall out to the side, coming into a reclined bound angle pose here. If this gets too intense on your hips, just bringing blocks or cushions or something underneath your legs. Then rolling your shoulders underneath you. Just drawing your eyes to close for a moment. As you draw your eyes to close, just drawing your attention inwards and noticing how your body feels today. Breathing nice and deeply. And trying to slow the breath down. Really trying to breathe with your tummy. Feeling it rise and fall with every breath. Maybe just breathing through the nostrils. Just breathing nice and deeply. Trying to lengthen each breath out. We'll take a few breaths all together here. Breathing in through the nose. Really feeling the whole of the body. And then breathing out, just releasing through the mouth, sighing everything out. Inhaling again through the nose, really feeling the whole of the body. And exhaling again through the mouth, just sighing everything out. One more inhalation here through the nose. Really trying to draw this breath in, feeling your whole torso rise. And then exhaling slowly and controlled through the mouth, or maybe the nose. Breathing out. Coming into this moment now. Your next inhalation, just opening the eyes and bringing the knees up towards the ceiling. So you can bring your back nice and flat on the ground here. We're bringing our arms out either side at shoulder height. Palms facing up towards the sky. And then inhaling here, finding that length through the spine, grounding down. And as we exhale, just letting the knees fall over to the left, maybe looking over our right shoulder. And then inhaling, bringing them back up to center. And exhaling, letting them fall to the other side, looking over our left shoulder this time. Just following your breath through this movement, inhaling up to center and exhaling down to one side. Just do this a few times on each side. Keeping that breath nice and slow and controlled. Breathing nice and deeply. When you've done an even amount on each side, just coming back to center. Bringing your arms back beside your body. When we're here, we're just going to start to bring some awareness to the core, to what we're working on today. So we're going to start to think about engaging our core muscles and pushing our tummy button down towards the mat. So we're kind of flattening out the base of our spine here, making sure that there's nothing under or no gap underneath our spine and the mat, or trying to get there anyway. So really rooting down through the tummy button, and then we're going to bring our hands to our lower ribs. We're just going to use our hands to assist us here, and imagine knitting them towards each other. So drawing your ribs towards each other, helping to push that tummy just a little bit further into the ground. Really starting to engage the abs here, even though we're just lying on our backs, not doing anything, still just bringing lots of awareness to this area. And then inhaling here, still keeping those abs engaged, keeping the hands knitting those ribs towards each other. And then as we exhale, just lifting the legs up in the air. You can bend your knees here, doesn't need to be straight, but we're just trying to really engage this core area here. Breathing nice and deeply here. And then maybe as you exhale, you can just lower your legs slightly, so that you're starting to work this area a bit more, engage the core, engage the lower core particularly. If your back starts to come off the ground, just lift your legs up to the last point where you can keep that back glued to the ground. So we're just trying to find that sweet spot where we're really working quite hard with our core, but we're not letting our back arch or curve off the ground. Just pausing here for another breath. And one more inhalation here. And exhaling, bringing the knees in towards the chest, letting the feet go down and hugging the knees in nice and tightly, relaxing the core, letting the back return to its neutral spine, maybe rocking side to side, just releasing there. And then we'll rock and roll up to seated. So we'll bring our hands underneath our thighs, our feet over our head, and then we'll roll up to a seated position. We'll roll all the way over, bent legs here. Oh, I'll just let this person in. And we will come into all fours. So we're bringing our hands underneath our shoulders, our knees underneath our hips, finding that nice long spine, drawing that tummy button up towards the spine, keeping that spine nice and long. And then here you can either just start by taking a few rounds of cat-cow, or if you want to engage your core a little more, you can inhale, bring your right leg out behind you, your left leg up, find a bit of cow here, and then exhale, drawing them underneath you, finding cat. So we're still moving through cat-cow here, but we're increasing the work on our core, on our stabilizing muscles, breathing nice and deeply, just listening to your body. If it feels too much, coming back to a normal cat-cow. Just breathing nice and deeply. Do one more on this side. You're lifting leg and arm. And then exhale, releasing back down to the mat. This time we'll inhale the left leg up and the right arm up. Maybe finding a bit of cow here. And then as we exhale, drawing them underneath our body, getting a bit of cat pose. And just continuing here, breathing nice and deeply, reaching outwards as you inhale and underneath you as you exhale. Breathing all the time. So moving between cat, cow. Let's do one more on this side. And then as we exhale, we'll just release our hand and knee back down to the ground. Hopefully we're feeling a little bit warmer now. If you've just been doing normal cat-cow, just keeping your spine nice and long now, coming back to neutral. Taking an inhalation here, tucking the toes, and exhaling, releasing into a downward facing dog. Maybe keeping the knees bent here. Really trying to find that length through the spine. Maybe walking the feet out if that feels good for you. Just listening to your body. Breathing nice and deeply. And then coming to a point of stillness. Taking a nice deep inhalation here. And then exhaling, rounding the back and walking the feet up in between the hands, and exhaling, folding all the way over, bent knees. So just releasing our torso here, letting our head be heavy, and hang down towards the ground. Just releasing everything, breathing nice and deeply. Then on our next inhalation, we're going to step our right foot back behind us, and we'll drop the knee as drop the heel as we exhale. So we want that back foot to be at a 45-degree angle to the back of the mat. We still want our heels to be about a hip width apart. And then on our next inhalation, we'll root firmly through this front foot and inhale, coming up into a warrior one, hands at heart center. So we're softening the right hip forward, the left hip back here, bending into this front knee, making sure we can still see those toes, finding that lift through the spine, through the top of the head. And then we're going to start to bring that awareness to our core again. So we're always using our stabilizing muscles, our core muscles in any standing pose. So we're going to start to think about drawing that tummy button back towards the spine and wrapping the ribs down towards each other as we stand here. Maybe we can inhale, lift the arms up overhead. And then exhale, releasing into a warrior two, still trying to find that core stability, that core integrity. Breathing nice and deeply here, gazing over the middle finger of your left hand. And still thinking about knitting those ribs towards each other. One more breath here. And then on your next exhalation, windmilling the hands to frame that front foot, lifting the back heel and stepping back into a plank. Or if a plank feels too much for you, just bringing the knees to the ground, finding a half plank. And again, we're just finding that nice core stability. So bringing that tummy button up towards the spine, knitting those ribs towards each other, rooting through the fingertips, breathing nice and deeply. And then on your next exhalation, releasing back into a downward facing dog. Again, so sending your tailbone back first and then up, and maybe bending the knees here. And your nice long spine, maybe walking the feet out again, just listening to your body, and then coming to a point of stillness. Inhaling here, and exhaling, rounding the back, and walking the feet up in between the hands, bending the knees, and folding all the way over. Just pausing here for a moment, reconnecting with your breath. Then on your next inhalation, we're going to step our left foot back behind us and exhale, drop that left heel down towards the ground, making sure that back foot's at a 45-degree angle. Rooting firmly through this front foot, keeping the knee over the ankle. We'll see if we can inhale, engaging the core, drawing the inner thighs towards each other, and coming up into a warrior one, hands at heart center. Lovely. Breathing nice and deeply, keeping the shoulders away from the ears here. And thinking about, again, knitting those ribs towards each other, engaging that core, drawing the core back towards the tummy, back towards the spine. Maybe inhaling, lifting the arms up overhead. And then exhaling, releasing the right hand out in front of you, left hand behind you, gazing over the middle finger of your right hand. Sending that right knee to outside edge of the mat, and rooting through both feet evenly. Again, trying to bring that awareness to the core, maintain that core stability. One more breath here. And then on your next exhalation, windmilling the hands to frame that front foot. Planting the hands nice and firmly and stepping back into a downward facing dog. Breathing nice and deeply here for a moment. And And then on your next exhalation, we're going to round forward again, but this time we're going to come into a plank. So we're really making our core work here. Again, if you want to drop the knees, that's fine. But just find that length through the spine, engagement of the core wherever you are. Breathing nice and deeply. We'll hold this for a couple of breaths. So really working into the core here, working into the shoulders, finding that length through the body. One more inhalation here. And then exhaling, lowering the knees first, and then lowering your body to the ground, coming all the way down onto your front. Doing really well. Bringing your hands to the side of your chest, bringing the tops of the feet flat on the mat. We'll inhale and we'll come up into a baby cobra. So small back bend here, stretching out the core now. Still keeping that spine nice and long. So it doesn't matter if you're only a tiny bit off the ground. We're just trying to draw our chest off the ground using our back muscles here. Breathing nice and deeply here. One more inhalation here. And then exhaling, releasing back down to the mat. Pausing here for a moment. On your next inhalation, tucking the toes and pushing up halfway, maybe finding a half plank or a plank. Exhaling, rooting through the hands, coming into a downward facing dog. Lovely. Breathing nice and deeply here. Just a couple more breaths here. Still trying to engage the core, so still drawing that tummy button back towards your spine. One more inhalation here. And then exhaling, releasing the knees down to the ground and coming into a seated position. So sweeping the knees out in front of you. Come into a boat pose now. So we're going to move any fleshy bits out of the way. Make sure we're seated on our sit bones. Bringing the knees up in front of us. And we can either stay here. There's a few variations here. So we can either stay here. And as we exhale, just lean back. Really trying to work that core. So still drawing those ribs towards each other. Maybe we can increase this by lifting the hands. Maybe we can lift the feet. Just feeling what feels good for you. Breathing nice and deeply. It's also a balanced pose, also working these hip flexors here. So finding that length through the spine, maybe keeping the feet on the ground and just sinking back, engaging that core. We're not trying to collapse here into the spine, so we're keeping it nice and long. It's just trying to find that balance. Breathing wherever you are, holding this for another breath. One more inhalation, and then exhaling, releasing, just rounding over the knees for a moment, relaxing, letting everything be heavy for a moment. We'll cross our legs again, roll over our legs, coming back into a kneeling position. So bringing the feet underneath you. If this feels really uncomfortable, you can bring a cushion or something underneath you, bringing the knees a bit wider and sitting on something there. So just finding something that feels good for you. And then we'll find some length through the spine. And we'll inhale and we'll come up onto our knees. So we're drawing a nice straight line from the knees all the way up to the crown of the head. Lovely. And here you can tuck or untuck your toes depending what feels better for you. Okay, so just have a play with that. I'm going to leave mine untucked. Breathing nice and deeply. We're going to bring our hands to the small of our spine now. So we want to give it a bit of support here. We'll inhale and find length through the spine. And as we exhale, we're just going to fold backwards slightly. So we're not looking for a big back bend. We're looking to keep that core working at our body, you know, so we're finding length through the spine as we inhale, and as we exhale, we're just finding a bit of a stretch here, a bit of a back bend. We don't want to be collapsing at all into our lower back here, because that can put pressure on the lower spine. So keeping engaged in the core here. Lovely. Breathing nice and deeply. And inhaling, coming back to center. And exhaling, releasing down onto the ground, coming into a small child's pose for a moment. Breathing nice and deeply here. And then on your next inhalation, just walking the hands back up either side of you. And we'll exhale, sweep the legs out in front of you and come back down onto our backs. Lovely. Just bringing our feet up towards our tailbone, making sure we can tickle the backs of our heels here. Bringing both shoulders underneath us and the hands down flat on the floor, palms facing down. Just going to do one more stretch out of the core here, so we'll come into a bridge pose. So we want to make sure our knees stay in alignment with our hips here. So we'll bring our awareness to our glutes, to our inner thighs, as well as our core. And as we inhale, we're just going to lift the hips off the ground as far as we're able to, not forcing anything here. Maybe rolling the shoulders a little bit underneath you. Coming up a little further. Breathing nice and deeply. Finding that lift through the hips, squeezing the inner thighs together. Finding space across the core here. Just holding this for a couple more breaths. Breathing nice and deeply. One more inhalation here. And exhaling, releasing down to the ground. Maybe hugging knees in towards you again. Maybe rocking side to side. Just releasing everything. Relaxing. And then we'll bring our legs out long to either end of the mat. Letting our feet fall out to the sides. Rolling our shoulders underneath us. Bringing the palms facing up towards the ceiling. We'll just pause here for a moment in Shavasana. So if you want to bring a pillow under your head or a blanket over you, just make yourself comfortable. If you feel any tension on your lower back, just bringing your feet mat width apart, knees up, and just letting your knees fall in towards each other. When you're comfortable, just drawing your eyes to a close for a moment. Noticing how your body feels. Taking a few long, deep inhalations. A few long, deep exhalations. And then allowing your breath to return to normal. Just noticing its natural cycle. With every inhalation, experiencing a sense of growth and openness. With every exhalation, a sense of stability and groundedness. Just allowing every part of your body to relax here. Just allowing the benefits of this practice today to be felt in your body and your mind. without opening your eyes, just bringing some attention back into your body, your fingers and your toes. Drawing your knees up towards the ceiling and your feet on the ground. Slowly rolling over onto one side. Maybe making a little pillow for your head with your hands. And making your way all the way up to a seated position, still keeping your eyes closed. Bringing your hands to heart center. Starting to rub them together to generate some heat. And placing them over your eyes, allowing your eyes to open as you bring your hands back to heart center. Namaste.